the caveat with this one is that it's not a single project. It's a journey of projects, essentially.
Yes, we haven't put any sort of limits as to where we can apply ignition, and the ideas keep coming.
Okay, all right, perfect. So maybe let's kick it off with introductions. We want to get to know the people behind the projects and the applications, a little bit of an idea of the business. Renier, should we kick it off with you?
Thank you, Jaco. Renier van der Rooyen, I'm the engineering executive at Multotec. Multotec is a manufacturer of products to the mining and mineral processing industry, so quite a few of our customers are here.
Ah.
I think like Impala, Sibanya.
Ah,
so
fantastic.
most of those guys running big SCADA systems, they are customers, but we the manufacturing of the products into that industry.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm CJ Barnard. I'm one of the lead engineers at Advances. And I, together with quite a large team, have developed various projects within the Multotec space. And we have to keep up with Renier and the ideas that he has and try and make them reality.
If you can dream it, they can build it.
Has it come down to a WhatsApp level when you get something on an idea on WhatsApp?
There has been WhatsApp. There's also been a lot of video chats and things like that as well. So
okay, amazing. So a little bit of background about Multotec. You mentioned you have a couple of customers here, but just to give an idea of the actual products that you supply and the reach of the business.
Yes, so we were founded in South Africa about 50 years ago. Started with the founder, a secretary, and one person doing PU casting of polyurethane panels. At that time, polyurethane panel screening was new to the market. And the business has grown over the last 50 years. We've got hundreds of different products, different concentrator screening products. We produce ceramic products, rubber products, polyurethane, stainless steel, and etc. Our footprint is now global. We manufacture in Brazil, Chile, in Canada, more distribution. In Africa, a couple of offices. We manufacture in China, Germany, and Australia. So the business has really grown well. Shall I introduce a little bit of our project yet?
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe on the next slide, that's actually the slide I want to talk to. Yeah, so for those, when I joined the company many moons ago, in 98, I didn't really know much about mineral processing. But for those in the room that also don't know much about mineral processing, there's the geologists see the mineral in the ground. You and I see a mountain. And then that mountain is normally mined and then milled, grind to finer particles. And then the process starts. It's extracting the minerals, whether it's coal, diamond, gold, platinum. So a part of our Exco pack is the periodic table. Of those of you who had science at school, a periodic table had all the elements on it, and we've got normally a gauge on each element on what the market is doing. So this is a sample of a typical mineral processing plant, and everything green there is where Multotec manufactures.
Wow.
So there's a range of products helping our customers to lower the cost of producing their products. That's typically what a mineral processing plant would look like. And that's a bit about our project.
Fantastic.
CJ can introduce
Yeah. So as you see, Multotec actually delivers or manufactures various products, and they do this from various sites across. So most of the sites are based in Kempton Park and Spartan. And so you have a lot of different things, but we'd like all of them to share a common sort of platform when we do SCADA with them. So the architecture that we have is we connect the solution to this group network that services the various organizations or business units within the group. And then on that, we can have our Ignition Gateway, and thereon we host various different types of projects. So what we'll show you today are some of those projects. So you'll see that there are 25 facilities that we monitor in terms of energy, where we've got integrations with power meters or deep sea controllers on generators. We've got solar systems and also Shelly switches, so that if Renier wants to make someone's life uncomfortable, he can set off their or shut down their aircon from his phone. But at the same time, I think in the manufacturing space, Multotec's not conventionally a plant that would require a SCADA, in the sense that there are OEM machines that manufacture discrete components. But by introducing ignition there, we could have sort of an inherited structure that we can use the same type of templates and project components across different machines that do discrete manufacturing, but then also then sync that data up into dashboards and reporting structures that the group can use to benefit from.
So looking at the architecture, you've got a gateway, not a redundant gateway, I'd assume, redundancy as well. You've got the gateway, you feed that into, I would imagine, a couple of SQL databases. You have a Canary data historian, long-term data over there. You have some flow software there. Eskom's a push. For those that don't know, there is a resource called Ignition Exchange, where there are over 500 resources available that you could use for free inside of Ignition. Eskom's push was naturally a very popular one a couple of years ago. Not so much right now, but that can change right now as we speak. And there are also multiple other ones. There's a couple of others that are really popular. The Track Now ticket management system. It's all resources that have been developed by the community that are available for free. And I think Eskom's push was actually developed by Diren from Advances.
Yeah, so he's one of our colleagues, yeah.
So that's a popular one. So, and then you have the underlying infrastructure there across the facilities as well as the rubber manufacturing side. Okay. And the Oracle, the JD Edwards integration, is that currently live?
Yes, and that was a big component of the especially the project in the rubber press shop. So one of our product ranges is compression molded rubber products, and there's a couple of my rubber presses, and they were typical presses that just had a PLC operating the press, and the requirement was to feed ERP data to the operator, so that on a HMI he can see this is the job I'm busy with. He can see job information, who's the customer, important dimensions, and he can also see progress. Because before that it's just like a little ice cream truck, you just make the next ice cream. But with that you can see the countdown, and you can start tracking on how far he is with a job. And if a specific item failed the quality control, it would be added back to the works order quantity, so that he knows that I need to make one more. So the integration to our ERP system, Oracle JDE, is really a highlight of this. And it's exciting to know that now for all future projects that has been tamed, and we can we are also able to write back to JDE. So if there's material consumption, let's say from a weigh scale, the material that's used on a specific product is then fed back into the ERP. Before we had that, we use super backflush, or the backflush of material, because it's not that easy to tally up the material consumed on each works order.
Fantastic.
So I can take us through these slides. So as Renita has been saying, is that one of the things that we wanted to achieve is to get the ERP information to the operators on the floor. But you actually want to get that information with the full context. Having just the order number, the works order, or the process order would not necessarily be sufficient. You want to know the metadata around the order. And what's quite nice about the way Ignition works is we could integrate directly through the API that JDE provides to get that information into the ERP. So we didn't have to have a staging database between ourselves. We could do that directly. Some of the challenges that we had was, so on sort of the discrete manufacturing side, that you have different machines that are in different standards and they are in different stages of maturity. So we had to be able to adapt our approach in the SCADA so that we can accommodate machines that weren't necessarily built at the same time or commissioned at the same time. And then what we'll find is when we go to the next slide, I think it's 2 slides away, but when we spoke about things related to, maybe I'll get to that later. Right. So this view that you guys see over here is a shop floor view of the Multotec rubber press shop. So each of those colored tiles there represent one of the presses that we've integrated to. So we've used the solution to track sort of OEE related information, so we can track downtime. But something that I thought was quite neat, and I know the engineers responsible for this, or the supervisors responsible for monitoring how the production facility works, the table that's shown there in the bottom left basically shows you a time study of what the machine spent most of its time doing. And in that way, you can have really direct insights as to where are there opportunities to maybe optimize something or improve. Yeah, because you want to get the thing to do work. You don't want to sit idle and open. And these sort of integrated reports, you'll see the reports are served by Flow software. So it's a third-party application that we've integrated directly in here. But at the same time, we can browse sort of local history. I think at some point in the video, you'll see that we've embedded the Axiom trend client directly into the Ignition application. And what you'll see is that the trend client is also pre-populated with the tags that are focused in the area that we were looking at. So as you go to each machine, the tags that are presented in the Axiom client will be those of the machine.
Fantastic. Axiom screens.
Well, there it is. So this is the console that the operator sees. So you'll see that he can go through the schedule. So what was scheduled for the works order or for the work center from the ERP. You can see the metadata. You can select the job. If there are any sort of configuration-related information, you can append it to it, also serving as metadata. If you've made any changes to the schedule, you can also provide a reason for why you're making the change. So what would typically happen is you'd schedule a job to work on one machine. It can't be run there because the machine is down. We needed to move it to another machine. And then we'll be able to trace the reasons for why something like that would happen. Yeah, I think we can go on. All right, so this is one of our more recent projects. So Renita was talking about how we write back into JDE. So one of the things that we want to be able to address for the team at Multotec Rubber is to help them understand how much rubber have they consumed to manufacture the finished product. So there's a single scale over which all the raw material moves. But now what we can do is as we go across that scale. So it's literally, there's one scale. And we've developed this interface to act as a user interface for the operator at the scale. And then he can capture and assign weights that are being allocated to a machine and to a works order in such a way that we can also track, how accurate are the drawings and the costing per part that's being made. So if the ERP says we only need to use 50 kilograms of a typical compound to manufacture something, but the operators on the floor know that actually we need to use 52 kilograms, that information can be passed up and fed into the
materials
system.
balancing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very nice.
It's also then accounting for scrap or waste, because that's sometimes something that you can't control.
Yeah.
So by using actual material consumption, you can kind of correlate that to your plant material, and that helps you analyze your variances.
So, all right, cool. So you've moved us on to the facilities monitoring. I know this is a passion project for Renier, so I'll have him talk a bit about this one.
Interesting project. A couple of years back when we had all the load shedding, Ekurhuleni had this incentive or almost directive for the Spartan area, that if we are able to curtail our loads during load shedding by 30%, they would not switch us off completely. So the whole community tried to work together to say, can we control our loads not to be switched off? And this is where this project started. And we said, well, I think there's a person in this room that often likes to say, om te meet is om te weet, to measure is to know.
Yes.
And we said, well, how can we achieve a 30% reduction if you don't have a measurement of before and after your efforts? And this is when this project started.
And this is a project completely outside of the previous one we've just been through.
Yes, and it's hosted on the same gateway.
On the same gateway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we actually have a trifle of projects on the same gateway. I mean, it's the energy project, then there's the rubber press shop projects, then in our injection molded thermal polyurethane, there's a project, and there's some others in the pipeline. So we started this journey with installing Accu meters. There's the AccuRev and AccuVim meters. at each of our 25 properties to understand what is happening with the energy that we import. We also have solar systems on many of the properties, so we wanted to see what comes from solar. And then about 19 generators that also needs to be wired up. So you want to see where your energy comes from. And that was an eventful journey just to get the sources of energies into ignition, because we can write doctorate papers on CTs, current transformers, because they were at the wrong places in the wrong direction. And at one stage, we even realized that the CT was installed in a place that when our generator runs, the town council charged us for that energy. So
Wow.
And you can't go to them and say, listen, this came from the generator. So, a very interesting project to start measuring our energy patterns. We have then also decided, but if to curtail loads, you need to now be able to turn off non-discretionary or loads like air conditioners and maybe heating and things like that.
But without the visibility, how would you know?
How would you know? And that's where our Shelly switch journey started. I don't know how many. I think we installed about 600 Shelly switches. They were all on the network.
So down to what kind of a level physically and office?
Well, there you can see on the screen. We're looking at a property now there.
Oh, all the offices.
Yeah, and then every office, there's that line is an aircon in that office, and you can see.
You really can put somebody on the hot seat.
Oh
if
yeah,
you wanted to.
you can. If a meeting carries on too long, I can, from my laptop, turn off the aircon, and it tends to speed up the meeting. So there's a image of what a property view would look like. You can see what comes in from the grid. There, I think we're exporting there. There's what's coming in from solar on that plant. Hydro boilers, geysers, the generator there, you can see the fuel level is 72%, engine block temperature, because they've got heated blocks. I don't see a reading on this one. And that was a game changer for us as well, with 19 generators and sometimes cable faults in the area or with load shedding, to make sure that they don't run out of diesel is almost, that's a work of art. And this is helping us with that. It's now also on our mobile app, and our properties manager, Marius, then uses that to monitor diesel levels. That's the mobile app there, yeah. And to understand where the hotspots is in terms of diesel supply.
And this is using the app. It's not a page on a browser on the phone. It's using the app.
Yeah, it's using the app itself, yeah.
Okay, all right. Very nice.
So maybe just to go back to the previous slide. So you'll see what we've got is is this the video that's play automatically?
It is that one.
All right, cool. So you'll see each of those green tiles represent one of the buildings that are owned by Multotec. They're in the Kempton Park area, and those three at the bottom are ones sort of in remote locations, so Pretoria, Benoni, and Sekunda. And depending on which sort of perspective you take on the site, you get to see what the grid supply is, what the solar supply is, if it has, and so on. And then what you'll see, I don't know when the video is going to transfer to that, but what we've got is we've got a breadcrumb navigation on the top. So you can then navigate to almost treating the sort of group as a S95 implementation. So you can go to the street that you want to see and then go to the physical address on that street. And then we can also see which items are busy feeding in or drawing from that system by the visualization that we've done. So we've not opted for gray. We've opted for pretty. No, but to be fair, we do try and minimize, so not to use color gratuitously. But then also sort of to highlight with color things that deviate. So you'll see instead of having sort of a gray-white palette, we chose a gray-green palette to try and also just not add too much visual clutter to the information we see.
Also fits nicely with your corporate identity.
Multotec green, yeah.
Yeah.
And the RGB colors 128.0.0. No, simpler. Maybe while it's playing there, at the right top, you can see the feed from Eskom's push. So that is quite nice that when there's load shedding, you can see the time slots and the weather is there.
And it's essentially the API call that it gets.
And you also see, like in that slot, we're generating 1.3 megawatts of solar energy. And that gives you just some graphing on the energy.
Lovely. What's next?
There was a slide on Click. Is that still coming?
Oh, I did see.
Or did we lose that one?
I don't know. Jaco might have culled it.
Because of time.
Probably. We're only about 4 hours over time. I mean.
Okay. But I think maybe just to prelude, I think, Renee, you can still tell us about that. So so I think a lot of businesses would probably use something like Power BI to sort of leverage their data that's being stored by the historian or by some MIS system. So in the case of Multotec, you guys use ClickView. And again, so the data that's being served by Ignition and Canary and Flow actually then feeds into these business systems that you guys then can display.
Yeah, Click, it's used quite pervasively across your business.
Yes. Yeah. So that's our BI layer in the organization. And because we've got in-house skills on Click development, it was easy to connect to the energy data from Ignition. And with Click, it's now easy because it's in-memory analytics. You can look at a property. We can look at time of the day. Is our peaks? Where is our peaks? What areas got the peak? What's happening to solar? What's the ratio of solar to imported energy? And then you learn quite a lot about your energy behavior.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll continue on what next. I do think that something's been culled. I see there's ellipses being used to redact.
I thought that was on purpose.
No, I think but that doesn't matter. We can talk. I mean, with the ellipsis, I can just carry on for 8 hours if I must and just keep you.
Please.
All right. So I think with the mobile apps, what we'd like to see is, so Multotec, you guys have been using Power Apps, and we'd like to see how we can use Ignition that's connected to data coming from physical devices in real time to sort of deliver more. And sort of, I think one of the concepts that was spoken about earlier is how data can be democratized. So typically people who aren't necessarily going to be interfacing with a machine or a SCADA, can we get their inputs into the sort of broader digital ecosystem in terms of data?
So manual data, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Shop floor data that's collected.
Yeah, typically on clipboards, walking around. Perfect. Yeah. So the new forms functionality may be a nice new project.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we would also like to start leveraging PLC data into our quality control processes, because if you can collect temperatures and pressures from your manufacturing equipment and bring that into your certificates, your release certificates, then at least if the process is controlled, it plays into consistent quality. Yeah, that's also a project on the
And I think what Kyle and Ken showed about the golden batch that we could show, that's actually quite exciting, because then for every machine we can have a golden cycle. So that's something that I'd actually like to look into.
You can have the ideal measurement against. Yeah, fantastic. Right. So no end date on this one. It's a journey that's continuing. Yeah. Amazing projects already. We've essentially just looked at 2 of what you've done. It would be nice to get a view of the other ones, but that's amazing. Well done. Lovely work. Any questions for Renier? Or there's a question back there. Richard?
Curious, how do you able to quantify the benefits you've got so far?
Quantify the benefits?
Not really quantified in rands and cents. As I mentioned, the benefits is, for example, if a generator would run dry because you don't know that, you lose production. So there we've already saved production losses. On the press shop, it's a productivity benefit because there's more real-time feedback to the operators. So we saw an increase in productivity. But on the press shop, we are now able to create a dashboard for management to look at efficiency. And we're at the phase that we can now start analyzing why is this the utilization of the press shop, or what is our plant downtime or maintenance time as a ratio of available time, and we will now start acting on that data.
Good question. Any other question? Another question? Yeah?
So we actually know this in Spartan. Sorry. Renier, we're actually neighbors in Spartan. I'm in Derrick Road. I just want to find out from you, what ERP are you using?
Oracle JD Edwards.
Okay.
JDE. We just call it JDE.
So we use SAP, and we're also a manufacturing plant. So my question to you is you said that you can report consumption back into your ERP system. Are you able to pull recipes out of your ERP into Ignition as well?
Yes. So in one of our projects where the polyurethane dispenser mixes the different components to produce polyurethane, the different shore hardnesses and compounds is in different ratios, and Ignition is able to read that information from the ERP. So JDE has got the RESTful APIs, which is easy to connect to, and Ignition also can then connect to those APIs easily. So security is not a problem because you can control it on your API, and so Ignition can only maybe read certain fields, certain data, and also upload only under certain conditions. So I found that the reading from was our first phase, and we were comfortable with that, but we're now in writing back specific transactions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.